Hi guys and welcome to another episode of the Top Form Podcast with me, Lewis Quinn. No guest today, so you have the privilege of listening to me for 20 minutes on today's podcast, which is something that we're going to actually start talking about. And that is the perfect start. And is there a perfect start? How can you get the perfect start when it comes to sort of, starting that goal, starting the path to achieving? And I'm going to tell you how this kind of started in my dilemma. So when I want to start this podcast back in early June 2021. I thought that there was going to be an abundance of guests, people who are going to be wanting to get on, talk about sort of their fields. I want to get CrossFit people on, I want to get sports massage people, and just people I thought would be interesting to talk to. And it wasn't easy as I thought. So I had Victoria Steed, she was my first guest, she was brilliant. And then Charlie Schofield, the boxer, he was also on there as well as the second guest. And then after that, there was a little hiccup, some health reasons. I went to hospital, but at first, when I thought about it, I thought, well, the podcast isn't really going to kick off because I can't get any guests. However, one of my clients of all people was saying, well, why don't you just talk about some of your personal life experience? Why don't you just talk about some of the messages you want to get across to the camera, and do it on your own? If you get a guest, it's a bonus, but you don't have to rely on getting all these other people involved to get something going. And it was absolutely right. I couldn't believe I had to. I learned the lesson off my client. Instead of waiting for your kind of like stars to align, because in most scenarios, it's never ever going to happen. So when you say you're going to start going to the gym more, and something comes up on day one, I don't know, your knee's a bit niggly today, and or there was too much traffic, you're not going to have a full hour to train at the gym. Most people then just write that day off. And it's absolute bollocks that people say it, because you can still, you might not have the perfect start that you said, you might not have a full hour in the gym, but you might have 45 minutes, you might have half an hour. And in that time, you can still do something that's going to go towards your goal, all right? You're still moving forward in some way. But just writing it off and not doing anything at all is counterproductive. And you choose to write the whole day off, you choose to write the whole week off, you choose to write the whole business project off, or whatever it is, and you decide to do nothing for another day, week, or month, whatever it is, you've not done anything to go forward, all right? You've stayed still or even gone backwards. If you do something, a little tiny thing. So for instance, here's a perfect example. I've noticed like in the last sort of week when I've got Rosie, I've been a little bit snappier with her, all right? And that's because I don't get to train as much as I'd like. Just because obviously when you're a parent, you've got to take kids to swimming or nanny's house or whatever it is, you've got things to do. And it's just one of them, part of the thing about being a parent. And I weren't getting as many training sessions in as I liked. And I found that I was getting a lot more snappier. I had a lot of a shorter fuse, and that really isn't me. So when I looked at it, I'm not snappy because I dislike Rosie and she's annoying me. It's because I'm not training as much as I like. And that's because in my head, I'm trying to give myself an hour to train. Right, where I might have half an hour, and that's perfect because I can get a 20-minute running. It's something that I don't like doing. I don't really like running, but if I can run for 20 minutes, I've got 10 minutes to sort of get changed, get ready for my next client. I've got some kind of exercise in that day, so I've been able to blow some steam, and I'm going to feel better. And I've noticed it. I hate running, but I'm a lot less snappier around people because I've managed to get some kind of exercise in. I've released my endorphins. And I'm feeling generally better that I've got some kind of exercise in. You can do the exact same. It might be you couldn't get to the gym because of traffic, because something popped up at work, because childcare issues. But nothing is stopping you from doing a home workout. Yeah, it's not what you want to do. All right, but sometimes plans change and you have to do something that isn't perfect, but it is still going to contribute to getting you where you want to be. And that's the point that I'm trying to get across in this podcast, is that you don't need a perfect start. The only perfect start you need is actually starting. And it might not be the full-blown start that you kind of dreamed and idolized at the beginning, but it's something that is going to, it might be just the smallest step, but it's something that's moving you in the right direction. You are going forward. You're not staying still and you're not going backwards. You're advancing towards that goal that you said you wanted at the very beginning. Plans change all the time, so if you try and have too much of the perfect plan and the perfect roadmap, right, and something goes wrong, All right, the plan's obsolete. It doesn't matter how long it took you to plan. You need to always plan for change. And like I said, even if it's a little thing you could do, it could be you didn't get to the gym that day, so you're going to go for a run, you're going to go for a walk, you're going to do a home workout or whatever it is. It might be a new business venture. You couldn't exactly get that first day, you couldn't get a website up and you couldn't get your business plan and your proposition together. But even if you just bought a domain or you trademarked your product or something, it was still a productive day. You still got something done, and it's better than not doing anything at all and still in the water. And that's exactly what I was feeling with this podcast. Like I was feeling like I'm not putting any content out there at all. And my main aim at the beginning of putting this podcast on was, I just wanted to try and supply my clients and followers on social media with some better knowledge from experts that aren't necessarily in my field. So, we got Charlie Schofield, the boxer, we got Victoria Steed, female personal trainer, pure elite champion. It's things I don't have expertise in. Okay, I know a little bit about it, but I couldn't really tell you that much about it. And it's great to get these real life case studies on the podcast and talk. But I don't necessarily need to always be bringing a guest on. And that's what I realised. My aim was to bring all this quality knowledge to my clients. And I don't necessarily need to bring a guest on to do that. All right, I can just talk about a topic that I'm talking about today, which is just making sure you start, making sure you're advancing. And if one or two clients that'll learn off that, then brilliant. My podcast has done exactly what I wanted it to do. If I decide not to put any content out there until I get the guests that I want, then I'm just leaving my clients, my audiences to wait until I'm ready, and it's counterproductive. Just start simplifying things. Stop trying to give yourself this mammoth task of for example, going back to sort of health and fitness. If you don't go to the gym at all, like you haven't been to the gym properly in years, and you give yourself the mammoth task of, right, I want to go gym 4 times a week. Yes, in an ideal world, that'd be mint. You could go gym 4 times a week and eat 3 balanced meals a day and be in the best shape of your life. It doesn't normally work like that. Other commitments, other external factors come into play, kids, work, whatever, and it'll affect that. So just start off very small. Just instead of trying to move mountains, just try and move one pebble at a time. Just say, right, I'm going to go to the gym once a week, or I'm going to try and get 10,000 steps in. Okay, for the first week, every day I'm going to get 10,000 steps. That's better than what you was doing the previous week. And the next week you can build from that. I'm in such a better mood. Okay, now I've started trying to get these 20-minute runs in. If I'm struggling to get a decent weight session in for an hour, if I can get one of these 20-minute runs in, I feel a hell of a lot better afterwards, and I can sort of deal with stress a little bit more. So when it comes to actually starting your training, when it comes to actually starting sort of the business plan or whatever aspect it is, don't try and create this perfect start. Just do something that is going to bring you one step closer to achieving your goal. All right, if it's smoking, instead of having 10 cigarettes a day, and go for 9, go for 8. Don't try and cut it cold turkey. Some people can work like that, but if you're someone who's always stopping and starting because you're losing motivation all the time, just start with a few little baby steps. Don't try and do everything in one go, because you're giving yourself a mammoth task that requires a lot more time, a lot more effort, and there's a lot more chance of something going wrong along the way. Whereas if you break something down to very, very small steps, very little baby steps, then little changes are going to make that giant shift at the end of the day. And plans change all the time, so it doesn't matter if you have to, divert a little bit. When I was 16, 17, I didn't expect to have a little girl and a house by the time I was 23. I really didn't expect that to happen, but it happened, and it didn't mean I carboshed all my plans that I had planned sort of later on in my 20s. It was just, right, well, this has happened now, so now I've got to go this route, I've got to go this way around to get to where I want to be. And you've probably already subconsciously gone through a period where you have kind of deviated off your plan a little bit, but you're still where you want to be. And that can still be applied to your fitness goals, your health goals, your general life goals, whatever it is, business goals. You can still deviate from a plan. A great book to recommend, so going off this subject, is Ryan's Holiday, Obstacles is the Way. Brilliant book to tell you that when something does come up, which is bound to happen, it doesn't mean that you have to stop and turn back, or that means that you're never ever going to achieve that goal because this obstacle's come up. It just means you can use the obstacle, or you can just slightly deviate from your original plan and still get to where you want to be. Brilliant book to read it if you get a chance. Do. So just to cap this podcast off, guys, does the perfect start exist? Absolutely. And it just requires you to start. Instead of trying to commit to huge lifestyle changes all at once, it just requires a handful of baby steps to be completed to eventually get to that stage where you're moving mountains and having an entire lifestyle shift. Start with the little basics. Start with the little steps, master it, and then move on to the next. Thank you for listening, guys, to the Top Form Podcast. Will I ever guest the next time? I don't know. I will try. But without fail, we will get another episode out. So thank you for listening, and I will speak to you next time.